Tonight, we're stepping into the part of America no politician wants you to see. Not the parades, not the flags waving on TV, not the campaign stages where Donald Trump shouts that he loves the troops. No. We're going to the grocery store parking lots, where military families stand in food lines because their paycheck stopped. We're going to the cemeteries, where Veterans Day ceremonies were canceled because of the government shutdown. We're going to the barracks, where reserve and guard units found out drills were scrapped, benefits frozen, and wages delayed indefinitely. And we're going to the halls of Congress, where politicians pointed fingers, cameras rolled, and the people who actually served this country were left in the crossfire. This is the real-world fallout of Trump's shutdown disaster, and it is ugly. Let's begin. The shutdown didn't begin with headlines. It began with panic. According to military.com, families at bases across the country realized something horrifying. Their next military paychecks weren't coming, not late, not reduced, missing. The shutdown had slammed the Treasury and federal payroll systems froze like ice. Imagine that. You put on the uniform, you do the job, you serve the country. And under Donald Trump's shutdown, the message you get is, sorry, no pay, figure it out. One mother said she was standing in the grocery store counting cash, realizing she didn't have enough to buy protein for her kids. During a shutdown, commissaries close, groceries skyrocket, assistance dries up. Reserve units were hit even harder, drill weekends canceled, meaning zero income for thousands of part-time soldiers who rely on those drill checks to survive. This is where Trump's slogans collapse. You cannot scream, "Support our troops," on the campaign trail and then preside over a shutdown that leaves military families unable to buy food. But that's exactly what happened. And the worst part? No one in power told them how long it would last. One of the most disturbing scenes reported during the shutdown. Military families turning to food pantries. Let that sink in. Active duty American soldiers reduced to charity to feed their children. Base roads saw cars lined up around the block, headlights glowing in the cold morning darkness, waiting for boxes of canned food, cereal, and rice. And the reason this happened? Because the politicians responsible for funding America's military decided political warfare was more important than real warfare. Military.com documented families reporting commissary closures, zero hazard pay, delayed reimbursements, frozen benefits, and no timeline for relief. One soldier's spouse said, "It feels like we're invisible." Another said, "We've been abandoned." Abandoned by who? By Trump's shutdown. But the full emotional hit comes later, because while troops were standing in line for food, something else was happening that crossed a sacred line in American culture. The shutdown became a knife that cut deep into the national memory. For decades, Veterans Day has been a symbolic promise. A moment when America steps away from politics and honors those who served. But this time, that moment didn't come. According to reports, Veterans Day ceremonies across universities and cemeteries were canceled, not postponed, not reduced, silenced. Cemeteries closed gates, universities shut down events, speakers withdrew, funding froze, veterans stood outside locked doors. The very day meant to honor them vanished. A Star Tribune editorial said bluntly, "Veterans Day faded into silence." Silence. Because of a shutdown. Because government workers who handle ceremonies weren't allowed to work. Because military support staff were furloughed. Because budgets froze mid-line. Because payroll systems collapsed. And the veterans, the men and women who risked everything, were told, "Sorry, nothing today." Imagine standing in uniform at a campus where you studied after deployment, waiting for a ceremony that never happens and because the government shut itself down. That pain, that humiliation, that betrayal. This wasn't an accounting issue, it was a national disgrace. And Trump supporters said, "It's just temporary, it's fine number, not fine, not temporary, not acceptable. Veterans Day is the heart of American remembrance." And Trump's shutdown stopped its pulse. While the people who protect the country suffered, what was Congress doing? Politico reported that the Senate rolled out a veterans and military construction funding package, but it came late, incomplete, and still tied to political bargaining. They pushed it out during the shutdown to save face, not to save families. This is political performance art, cameras rolling, speeches echoing, senators pretending to stand with the troops. While military parents can't pay for groceries. The ugly truth, Congress didn't act until the damage was already done, until veterans were furious, until military families were desperate, until news outlets reported the disgrace. Only then did lawmakers scramble to show, look, we're doing something. But leadership means preventing the disaster, not fixing it after the cameras arrive. And who was the president when this breakdown hit military families the hardest? Trump. This is his shutdown, his timeline, his consequences, and he did what he always does. He blamed someone else. Let's step away from politics for a moment and face the human truth. This shutdown hurt. Single parents serving in uniform, young families living paycheck to paycheck, reservists balancing civilian jobs, veterans waiting for ceremonies that honor their sacrifice, elderly vets expecting support staff at cemeteries, students in ROTC programs caught in canceled events, military spouses shouldering financial collapse alone, children unable to understand why mommy's pay didn't come. No spin can erase this. This is suffering, real suffering, preventable suffering. And while families broke, Trump tweeted, he complained, he postured, he made speeches about saving America while the people who served America starved. That's not strength, that's cowardice, because real strength is caring for the people who fight for you. The editorial responses across the country reveal a mood Trump's campaign doesn't want to acknowledge. Veterans are angry. Letters poured in. Editorials exploded. Social media from vets went red hot. From Vietnam-era vets to Iraq and Afghanistan soldiers, the message was consistent. We deserved better. One veteran wrote, "Shutting down the government is not leadership. It's sabotage of the very nation we served." Another wrote, "If you can't even keep the government open on Veterans Day, you don't respect veterans at all." This anger is not small, it's not fringe, it's not political, it's human, and it's justified. Because nothing is more insulting than asking someone to risk their life, than refusing to pay them. Trump has built his political identity on military imagery. Salutes on stage, flags behind him, veterans placed near the podium, speeches filled with strong military promises. But what matters is not the photos, not the slogans, not the rallies. What matters is action. And when it came to action, real action, Trump let the shutdown hit the troops first and hardest. He didn't protect their pay. He didn't shield their benefits. He didn't fight for coverage on Veterans Day events. He didn't stop the chaos. He allowed it. Let me be absolutely clear. A president who lets troops go unpaid, a president who lets Veterans Day fall into silence, a president who watches military families line up for food is not a supporter of the military. Not in reality, not in practice, not in consequence. This shutdown didn't just disrupt a few days, it left a mark. Financial trauma for families, operational gaps for units, psychological damage for veterans, erosion of trust in government, loss of morale in the military, reduced readiness for national defense, missed medical appointments for VA beneficiaries, delayed reimbursements for active duty personnel, canceled support services on bases. Shutdowns punish the powerless and reward the political elite. And Trump, who constantly attacks the deep state, doesn't understand the real deep structure of America, the families, soldiers, and veterans who hold the country together. So let's return to the headline, Trump's shutdown disaster. Veterans Day canceled, troops unpaid. This wasn't a headline, it was a national wound. Veterans Day, a day of honor, was silenced. Troops, the backbone of national security, were left unpaid. Military families, the heart of service, were left standing in food lines. Reservists, essential to readiness, had their drills canceled. Cemeteries, sacred ground, closed their gates. Universities, where veterans study and rebuild, canceled ceremonies. Congress, the branch responsible for funding, scrambled too late. And Trump, the president at the center, let it all happen. Leadership isn't about slogans. Patriotism isn't about shouting. Strength isn't about speeches. It's about responsibility. And on that responsibility, Trump failed. He failed the troops. He failed the veterans. He failed the families. He failed the country. And America deserves to remember this moment because the people who served this nation deserved far, far better. This is Adrian Coldwell, and this was the truth behind Trump's shutdown disaster.